My name is Noah Reed, and I am telling this with ash under my fingernails because ash is the only thing he feared. I know his height, 6'1" if you prefer imperial, his weight heavy enough to make old joists complain, and the way he moved, a slow, deliberate tilt of the head like he was measuring the shape of your terror. I know the sound his cleaver made when it kissed tile. I know how fast a wound can close when it belongs to something that has no patience for dying. If you ever get lost near Calder's Ridge, and you see a mansion with stone lions whose mouths are stained darker than rain, do not go inside. If you have already gone in, listen carefully. Fire is your friend. He is not. We were four: Noah and Chloe, Marcus and Jenna. Late September had that blue sky that lies about how fast night will fall, and we believed it. We drove up for a weekend camp at the ridge, a simple loop trail, an overlook, marshmallows on skewers. We left the highway and the world softened into gold and pine. Marcus was the kind who sang along to every song, even ones he didn't know. Jenna kept the map and pretended to scold him for missing turns. Chloe curled her feet on the dashboard and planned the sunrise we'd photograph. A volunteer ranger at the trailhead had said, "Stay on the loop. If you see a private road, don't take it. The old Calder estate is out there, condemned." He smiled like it was a campfire story, and we laughed like sensible people do when they have no reason to be sensible. We hiked at an easy pace, only half watching the trailblazers because we had each other and the afternoon was kind. The fork happened so gradually we didn't notice, a suggestion of a path that looked more trail than the trail. When Chloe's offline map spun uselessly and Jenna's compass needle trembled like a small animal, we shrugged and said the same brave lie. We'll loop back. The woods thickened until the light grew grainy, and the air tasted like wet coins. Somewhere ahead, a gravel crunch threaded through leaves, civilization's music. We followed the sound until the trees let go and we saw it. The mansion was 3 stories of stone and shadow, with a roof line like a broken crown. Vines climbed the walls as if they wanted to stitch the place closed. A veranda wrapped the front, its boards grayed to silver and soft underfoot. The double door stood ajar by an inch, the kind of invitation that shows teeth. "Private property," Chloe said, trying to be the grown-up, though the evening cold was already nosing under her jacket. Marcus peered at the windows, amused. Jenna pointed at a brass plaque green with age. "Calder House." "Storm coming?" he added, squinting at the sky. "We take shelter, apologize to the ghosts, leave at dawn." We stepped inside. The foyer smelled like old fire and something cured but not food. A grand staircase rose to a chandelier webbed with dust. The chandelier shifted ever so slightly when the front door side shut behind us. The walls wore portraits with faces the damp had gently erased. "Creepy," Jenna said, but her voice made it sound like a dare. We explored. Our headlamps found a parlor with velvet chairs, the color drowned out of them. A music room where a piano kept its mouth closed as if it remembered a song it refused to play. A kitchen whose tiled floor still held a rectangle of cleaner white where a refrigerator had once stood. On a butcher's block, a cleaver scar chewed through the wood, shallow grooves marching away in a line, as if someone had practiced lowering steel with the tenderness of a metronome. "Movie prop heaven," Marcus said, touching a length of plastic chain. It wasn't plastic. The links were cold and heavy and very real. We found the library by accident, a room lined with shelves whose books had swallowed water and then learned to live with it. On a leather ottoman arranged with sick attention lay parts. I will say them carefully, because some words are not for telling in detail. A hand that might have been made for a Halloween store if the fingernails weren't bitten down in a way that looked personal. Something like a shoulder, wrapped in clear sheeting with a surgical tape that had yellowed along the edge. No blood was wet. No smell was fresh. It was all museum cold. Okay, that's like a film set, right? Chloe asked, hope bending her mouth into a shape it didn't quite fit. Marcus leaned close in the way people do when they want to win a bet against reality. He lifted the corner of the sheeting. The tape pulled up with a sad little whisper. Underneath, the flesh had the wrong patience. He dropped the plastic and stepped back too quickly, bumping a shelf. Books thudded to the carpet, a dozen small bodies grieving. Props, he said again, but the word chose not to obey him. The house shifted its weight like a sleeper remembering a dream. Somewhere beyond the library, a door tried to settle into its frame and found the fit wasn't good. Then a sound, faint but near, tap. Tap, tap, deliberate, practiced, not a knock. Accounting, Jenna met my eyes. Basement, she mouthed. I don't know why she thought of basements then, except that the sound had a way of coming from below you. We followed hallways until the air cooled another 5 degrees, and the floor dropped a shallow step. A servant's door stood open to a stairwell that fell into breathing dark. Heard the ranger, Marcus said, trying for lightness. Condemned, right? Maybe the boiler still works. He trained his headlamp downward and started carefully, one hand on the rail. The stairs complained, wood fibers telling old stories. The basement entry was wide enough for a piano to pass. Someone had imagined a life down here. Cold storage, coal, maybe a wine room. Our lights cut triangles out of the dark and found racks, hooks, a concrete floor splotched darker in patches that the damp had adopted. Along the back wall, a metal door hung crooked, set into the concrete like a safe. A sound came from the far left corner, not loud, wet breath catching. We froze, then moved as a group. One of us always glancing back because the air behind us had developed a texture. He lay against the wall, propped on rags, his chest a stubborn bellows. An old man, his cheeks fallen into his mouth, his eyes bright with the kind of fever that's half stubbornness. His left side was bandaged in a way that said, I did this to myself, quickly. On his lap, a folder secured with a brass clip. Beside him, a revolver with a cylinder half full and a bottle marked mineral spirits. He's alive, Chloe said. Already kneeling, already reaching for the pulse she knew wouldn't be strong. He tried to smile and thought better of it. His voice arrived like a saw through old wood. Thought I had time, he said. Turns out he doesn't sell it. Who? I asked, though the answer was already climbing the stairs in the back of my mind. The man with the pig's face, he said. Not his face mask. Don't matter. He wears it like skin. Bleeds less than he should. He heals fast, you understand me? Not magic fast. Angry fast. He hates fire. He hates smoke. He doesn't like his work interrupted. He lifted the folder with hands that had once been very strong. The label on the tab read Calder House, Incident Notes. Take it, he said. I wrote what I could. I'm not a writer. I'm a fool who stayed too long. Chloe started to ask more, but his breath folded in on itself and stayed there. We watched the question turn into silence. Jenna touched the folder as if she expected heat. Inside we found photocopies of clippings, handwritten notes, and a page titled, If You're Inside. Read fast. He hears better than doors do. Speak softly. If he taps, tap, 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 he's counting how you panic. The mask is leather, bone, something old. Don't grab it. He likes when people try. He hates fire. He despises smoke. He heals if you give him time. Don't give him time. The gun is for interruption, not victory. The boiler still runs sometimes. Gas line's unstable. If you can light it, light it. Marcus checked the revolver, hand steady because that's who he liked to be. 4 shots, he said. Could be enough to interrupt. We need out, Jenna said. And it's almost dark, Chloe added. As if darkness were an opinion one could argue with. We started to climb. Halfway up, the house exhaled and the stairwell delivered a new sound, closer than logic allowed. Tap, tap, tap. Not from above, not quite. From the walls. Marcus went first into the hall. I followed with the folder. Chloe and Jenna came behind, eyes bright as coin edges. We reached the foyer, and the light beyond the windows gave us its last clean note before night turned the panes into mirrors. In those mirrors, the hallway opened behind us like a throat. That's when he stepped from the corridor's shadow and set one boot on the tile. I will tell you what we saw in a way that doesn't feed him. He was tall and built to carry, shoulders broad enough to own a doorway. Over his head, the mask. A hog's head, leathered and lacquered, with a jaw that sagged open a little as if listening. The eyes were holes. Not eyes, but the person behind them could see just fine. A cleaver hung at his side, square and heavy, its edge polished with use that respected it. His apron looked like it knew about rain and kitchens and something else. He tilted his head and the world tilted with it. Marcus lifted the revolver. The man with the pig's face did not hurry. He took another step and set the cleaver gently against the tile. It made a sound like a small bell learning about pain. He lifted it again. Set it down, tap. Tap, tap. Marcus fired. The shot hit the shoulder above the apron strap and made the man stagger, as if someone had tugged his sleeve unexpectedly. He looked at the mark with amusement that had no smile. The leather of the mask did not flinch. The wound stopped being a wound too soon. We go, Jenna said, very quiet through gritted teeth. We go now. We split without planning it, two toward the back hall, two toward the front. The man's head tilt tracked both groups at once, which made no sense, and then he moved. He moved like a decision, not like a run. He stepped just enough to be closer than you thought possible. Jenna and I took the back way. The corridor smelled like damp flour. We ducked into a butler's pantry and found gifts. A jerry can half full of kerosene, a box of old road flares, a Zippo with a naval crest. I stuffed them into my pack while Jenna watched the hallway with a kitchen knife she didn't remember picking up. Chloe's shout reached us from the other side of the house, and then the cleaver met something wooden with a tidy chop that traveled through the structure like a whispered verdict. Marcus shouted back, a steady, strong sound, and then the house eroded that sound into breath. Boiler, Jenna said, and we ran for the service stairs that hugged the kitchen wall. The basement again. The air was colder. The old man's corner was just a corner now. We followed pipes along the ceiling until we came to a rusted cylinder fat with purpose. A wheel valve. A pilot line. Gas, Jenna said. Or whatever passes for it. We tried the valve. It turned with the reluctant dignity of old machinery. The pilot line coughed air that smelled like a rotten museum and then blessedly like fuel. Light it, Jenna said. I flicked the Zippo, and the flame rose like a small argument learning to win. The pilot caught and began to whisper, and the boiler belched a low hum that shook dust off the rafters. Heat crept into the pipes like resolve. Above us, a foot crossed the kitchen's tile and gave us its tap. Tap, tap, he had found the pantry. He would find the stairs. Flares, Jenna said. If fire is what hurts him, make him breathe it. I cracked the first flare and it woke like a red shout. The light filled the concrete room in a way that made corners sulk. The mask in the stairwell appeared in silhouette for a heartbeat, then eased back, not afraid, annoyed. He waited. He was good at waiting. Jenna looked at me with a plan that might work once. We make him choose. You take the left, I take the right. He can't be in both halls Chloe screamed then. Not the way movies teach you to scream, short and tidy, but the way the body screams when now must be the only word it knows. We ran. In the main corridor, The night outside had coerced the windows into mirrors. In those mirrors, I saw Chloe and Marcus halfway down, backs together. Marcus with the revolver up, Chloe with a brass fire poker as if she could negotiate with iron. He stood near them, the pig's head tilted, the cleaver making small decisions in the air. "Hey!" I shouted. The mask turned. In that turn was a calculation I don't want to describe. He stepped toward me and set the cleaver down with that tap. Tap, tap, as if measuring my heartbeat. Chloe seized the moment and swung the poker with a sound like a church bell remembering Sunday. The blow landed across the mask's jaw, and the mask accepted it the way an animal receives rain. With interest, not complaint. Marcus fired again. The bullet found the hip and made the leg untidy for a second. The man stepped back, looked at the leg, and decided it was fine. The skin tightened as if stitched by invisible, impatient hands. He wasn't invincible, just stubborn, and he did not like heat. "Marcus!" I shouted. "Kitchen, boiler!" We fell back, each retreat a risk. The man followed without hurry, prodding us with his presence, not chasing. He wanted the distance to belong to him. In the kitchen, Jenna thrust a flare into the man's face. The red light painted the mask with a grotesque life. He flinched for the first time, not from pain but from contempt made physical. He brought the cleaver up, not fast, just enough, and tapped it once on the butcher's block as if to say, "Your turn." Marcus shoved a baker's rack into him, wheels shrieking, pans leaping free. The rack hit and moved him a quarter step. He let out a breath that sounded like a laugh being fed through cloth. Jenna lobbed a second flare past his shoulder so it skittered along the tile and fetched up at the base of the curtains that separated the kitchen from the scullery. The fabric woke to flame in a slick hiss. Heat lifted fast, and the man with the pig's face paused, as if someone had said a word he didn't like. His head tilt sharpened. The cleaver lowered. He is fast to heal, I remembered, but slow with fire. "Out!" Jenna shouted. "He'll choose air over us." He did not. He split the distance, stepping through the heat with a patience that believed strongly in itself. He moved around the swell of flame, unwilling to grant it the center of the room, and came for the closest of us, Jenna. She met him with the knife and the flare together, a cross of light over steel. He breathed in the smoke and found it unsatisfying. He brought the cleaver down onto the knife with such controlled force that the blade spun from her hand and rang against the stove. Then he raised the cleaver in a small ritual arc, the way you might cut a cake at a party that has only one guest. I hit him with the kerosene. It was an ugly throw, too much, too soon, but it painted his apron and arm, and most importantly, the mask. The smell was sweet and wrong. He took one step back with a sudden stillness, and in that stillness I saw the only fear he owned. Jenna flicked the Zippo and touched it to his chest. Fire bloomed like an argument winning. The mask tried to be hide and bone and old craft all at once, but the kerosene told it to be tinder. He reeled, not screaming. He did not give us that, but making a low sound that felt like a barn door torn loose in a storm. He swung the cleaver at air that was not guilty and stumbled through the burning curtain into the scullery. We ran the other way. Smoke followed, a living thing seeking purpose. We coughed and kept low, the hallway a river of shadows that sometimes looked like people we used to be. We cut through a door we hadn't noticed before and found the trophy room. Heads, antlers, teeth. All the ways hunters tell themselves they're artists. At the far wall, a steel cabinet pried open, its lock flayed to metal curls. Inside, a shotgun with a cracked stock. A box of shells with damp kissing their cardboard. A flare pistol. And a coil of wire that used to hold fences together and now held something else. 2 guns, Marcus said, reverent with relief. He broke the shotgun open, checked the barrels, stuffed shells into his pocket. I grabbed the flare pistol and another flare because hope can be practical. Chloe set a hand on my shoulder. "Noah," she said softly, "I don't want to be brave anymore." "You don't have to be," I said. "You only have to be close," she nodded, anger and love arguing in her eyes. Jenna pressed a shotgun shell into my palm. "For the air," she said. "Make him choose smoke again." The house delivered news from the hall. Tap. Tap, tap, closer than a lie, farther than a promise. He wasn't burning. Or he was. And he was walking with it the way some people walk with their memories. Not quickly, not kindly. We pushed deeper into the room and found a side door. It led to a short corridor that ended in an iron spiral staircase climbing toward a service landing. The steps were narrow and treacherous with dust. Up we went. The stair twisted the air, and for a moment the house felt off its axis. At the top, a door gave into a gallery that overlooked the main hall. From here we could see the chandelier, the staircase, and below, the trace of our earlier panic on the tile like erased chalk. Jenna pointed. "Front doors." Marcus nodded, jaw clenched. "We make for them," the gallery groaned as we crossed. The mansion seemed to consider whether to help. Then we saw him again at the base of the stairs, head tilted, apron darkened and blackened where the flame had licked but not lived. He looked up, and though I could not see eyes, I felt the attention land on me with weight. He began to climb. Not the stairs, those were too social, but the side of the banister. Long fingers finding history in the carved wood. The cleaver hooked easily in his hand like a conversation piece. As he climbed, the char along his apron tightened, and the cracks where heat had tried to take hold knit into something less damaged. He moved with more hunger than before, less patience. "Run," I said. "Run now." We sprinted for the far end of the gallery, took the small stairs down to the landing, then leapt the last 3 steps because air can be an ally when floors grow unreliable. The front doors stood wide enough to let night in. Beyond them, the veranda, the driveway, the line of pines like polite sentries who had seen too much. We made it to the threshold. The wind outside put a cold hand down the back of my neck and whispered, "Stay," in a voice I'll never forgive. Chloe stepped into the night. Marcus pushed Jenna through. I turned to follow. And the man with the pig's face was already there, as if the house had delivered him to the place we wanted most. He set the cleaver down softly. Tap, tap, tap. Chloe's mouth made my name. Marcus yanked her back, but the man didn't reach for her. He reached for me. I fired the flare pistol into his chest at arm's length. The flare punched light into dark, lodged and burned. He rocked and stayed upright, smoke climbing the mask and a spoiled crown. He stepped forward into us and discovered air beyond the sill. I shoved with everything fear had grown in me. Momentum and gravity took him off the threshold. He fell backward onto the veranda boards, the flare blooming bright against the night like an angry flower. He brought the cleaver up in a blind arc. It bit the post and stuck. He pulled and pulled, and the metal groaned like a threat. "Go!" Jenna dragged Chloe. Marcus covered our retreat with the shotgun, the muzzle steady in hands that had learned steadiness on quieter days. We spilled into the darkness, onto the drive, into the trees that pretended to be benign. He did not chase. He stood, pulled the cleaver free, patted at his chest the way a cook pats an apron after a spill, and then walked, not toward us but toward the driveway's curve, the long loop where a blacktop still remembered being useful. He knew the turns we'd take. He wanted the woods between to do their work. We ran without elegance, a tumble of decisions and breath. The night had learned our names and used them against us in the rustle of branches, in the snap of hidden twigs. We listened for tap, tap, tap and heard it everywhere, even where it wasn't. Left, Marcus said, though there was no left in darkness, only not right. We need a landmark, Jenna said. Anything man-made. The service road, I said, trusting the map I had failed hours ago. Downhill. Water runs downhill. Roads like water. We followed the lay of the land until we heard the honest ribbon of a culvert murmuring to itself. Concrete. Lines. The kind of geometry the world and monsters both respect. We came out by a chain-link gate that had resigned itself to leaning. Beyond it, the service road, a river of pale dirt leading to what my heart insisted was exit. We crossed, and the road did not argue. That's when we heard the cleaver again. No longer tapping, now dragging, not fast, not eager, confident. He's not tired, Chloe whispered. He's waiting for our legs to be, Marcus said. An orange glow began to pulse behind the trees, the mansion catching real fire at last. The boiler's breath waking things that had wanted to sleep forever. The glow made the road shine. It also made shadows, long ones that kept moving wrong. We reached a junction where the service road met the main drive. The iron lions watched with their stained mouths. Marcus slowed, turning to listen. The dragging stopped. No tapping. Nothing. Keep going, Jenna said. We obeyed. We were almost to the bend where we'd lose sight of the house when a shape filled the road ahead. He wasn't running. He wasn't walking. He was arriving. He tilted his head and the flares left over ash fell from the mask like black snow. Marcus stepped forward with the shotgun. Back, he said over his shoulder. Get behind me! The man with the pig's face raised the cleaver in a judge's pause. Jenna grabbed my arm. The ditch, she hissed. Dry grass, flares. We tumbled into the ditch. Grass cradled us dry and eager. I cracked a flare and fed the grass its color. It caught and ran, a red foal discovering speed. The ditch became a line of fire between us and the road. The man did not like that line. He took a single step back, the cleaver lowering, the head tilt turning flat. He did not cross. He considered. He made no sound. Marcus held his ground at the road's edge, the shotgun steady. The heat loved us and hated us, and I loved it back. Chloe pressed close, eyes on the mask, hand crushing mine. Go around, Jenna breathed. Keep the fire between. We moved with the fire as our spine, edging down the ditch, letting it become a wall. The man tracked us step by patient step, staying always on the far side, unwilling to cross smoke and heat. The mansion's glow thickened the sky. The lions' mouths looked like warnings. When the ditch thinned and the fire lost appetite, we left it and sprinted for the gate I could not remember ever being open. It stood half unlatched, maybe always that way, maybe just now. We slipped through, the wire sighing at our clothes. Beyond the gate, the forest gave way to scrub and then to the county road, a ribbon of cracked asphalt that pointed toward the living world. We did not stop running, not for a long time. A passing truck stopped for us because smoke trailed our clothes and our faces said things words couldn't. The driver gave us water, called the sheriff, turned up the radio because silence had begun to bite. At the station, I said all the things people say when they want someone brave to go back and make the story different. A search party went out with lights and radios and rules. They found the mansion smoldering. The boiler had burst and the fire had burned hungry and smart, choosing beams and leaving others. They found edges of rooms and the black bones of furniture. They found signs of someone leaving measured prints in ash, the stride even, the weight considered. They did not find Marcus, Jenna, or Chloe. They did not find the mask. They asked me for details. I gave them what I could, the height, the tilt of the head, the way his wounds closed like threaded laces pulled tight by invisible hands, the way fire made him step back not from pain but from dislike. I gave them the folder from the old man, the notes about tapping, The way the house helps the one who owns it. They told me I was lucky. They told me not to blame myself. They told me it would be hard to sleep for a while and then easier and then hard again. They did not tell me how to stop hearing tap. Tap tap in the polite noises of a safe room. At night, when I lie on a cot the county says is mine for as long as I need it, I keep a candle burning in a jar on the floor. It is a stupid little flame and it makes me feel strong. Sometimes, just before sleep, I hear a sound at the window. Not tapping, not dragging. The soft, delicate kiss of metal on glass. As if a cleaver were learning to be a fingertip. I do not get up. I do not count along. You want advice? If you ever see a mansion where the chandeliers wait like spider eggs and the portraits have taught themselves to forget their faces, do not go in. If you have gone in, make the air burn and do not look back to see if he is watching, because he is, and he loves when you look. He loves to measure you. He loves to heal. And somewhere, in the dark beyond the last streetlight, the mask tilts in the way I cannot stop remembering. As if it is asking a question he already knows your answer to.